Welcome to the Phil and the Kid podcast. I'm Phil Gardner.
And I'm Spiro of Resellis.
And today we're here with Monika Jazyk of Real Property Investments. This is really funny. I feel like we shouldn't have both worn white.
I know.
Like fucking escorts.
You should always...
Which is... Wait, fold your arms.
You
fold
should
your
both
arms.
always have that.
He has another one.
We have a bunch. I have one that says, I'm a realtor. That's the one I wear.
That's the douchebag
I wore it to the gym yesterday.
How about douchebag?
Shit.
Douchebag realtor.
Oh, that was what I called him after last episode because it just said I'm a realtor on his chest the entire time.
And the back had all my information, which was just my name 3 times.
Your name, your website, which is just your name,
and
your Instagram, which is just your name.
I'm a realtor, and then on the back it says like 49,000 other people in this city.
I think it's 52 now.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
Yeah, and 50% of them do no deals a year.
But see, how many realtors go to my gym? Probably another 5 or 6 at least.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. They know I'm a realtor.
Why can't this be the podcast?
This can be. This basically is the podcast.
Are we recording?
We're recording.
We're recording.
All right.
So surprise, surprise, we're in the booth with Phil, the Kid, and Monika Jazyk of Real Property Investments. Are we going to be doing a proper intro, or are we just going to dive right in?
We can dive right in. We can,
we'll do the intro afterwards.
Yeah.
All right, Monika. We're going to put you right on the spot, like right from the get.
Let me. Okay, pause.
Or not.
Just double check. We're recording.
Where do I
You're like
look?
my wife. She leaves the house. She asks Phil, "Did you lock the door?" 17 times. Did you unplug the hair straightener? I didn't unplug the hair straightener. Let's circle back around. Let's dive right in. Why doesn't Monika give us and our listeners and our viewers a little bit of a synopsis to your story? How did you get started in real estate? And then we'll talk about how we met, because that's more interesting.
Okay, yeah, because we want this to be interesting, especially all the viewers. There's so many podcasts out there. Let's make this interesting and give them some real information.
Yep.
So how did we get started? We try to do things the conventional way, and it wasn't working. And this is the problem with people in Ontario, is they try to do things the conventional way, and it doesn't work. We're in a crisis. People can't afford to retire. People can't afford to help their kids go through school. People can't even get by other than their working wage. And this is a huge issue. We lived it. We felt it. We needed to do something different. Real estate was the way, and that's kind of what got us started.
Real estate was the way.
Yeah.
So
it
what
always is the way.
Of course, we know we're here because it's the way, right? But what about real estate, let's say, made your decision to jump in? What was I know you guys have the story of like you purchased a property for each of your kids and all that fun stuff. So what about real estate made you say, this is what I want to do with my future. This is what's going to take me and my family through eons.
Mm-hmm. Well, it all started...
Ideally, eons, right?
Good
We're all living forever at this point.
And you're right. Like, it did start with the future thing. The number one cause, I am a mother. We have 4 kids. So it was the kids and how do we because I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
And I didn't want to have to go to work full time. And that's what I noticed everyone was doing. Because we live in Markham, it's very expensive and everyone has to go to work full time. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And it was like financial suicide. So first of all, we had to recreate this income. Now, Vaughn made enough money to live. Mm-hmm. That was fine. He was making great money. But we wanted to have fun things, obviously, and have a good, fun life. But more importantly, it was the savings that really kind of was affecting us. So we were trying to save 10%. We're trying to, and we were saving 10%. We're trying to grow this money so you could do things like help our kids out with school or afford to retire. None of that was working. The only thing is me going and being this full-time teacher, and that's the only thing. And when did it take 2 people, 2 6-figure salaries to get by? It's just not healthy.
Yeah, that's a big problem in the GTA even now, right? You can have multiple 6-figure salaries and still have nothing left at the end of the day to save and grow.
Yeah, and you don't have these wealth tips. You don't know how to grow your money and manage your money. And I'm trying to manage it with all these conventional tips and all this and that. But it's just, it just wasn't working. So we did read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that is what was just a total
I think that was my awakening moment as well.
That's what we hear the most of, too. That's such a huge book for a lot of people in their first kind of look into real estate.
Yeah. And so it might not necessarily give you all the information, but it's the one that gives, I think, the most people the kick in the ass.
Well, it's a mindset change.
Yeah.
And it shows you the power of real estate. It's not a how-to book. Mm-hmm. No one out there, you guys can't go get Rich Dad, Poor Dad and figure out how to be rich in real estate. It doesn't work that way, but it gives you this mindset change. All of a sudden, Tony Robbins says there's 2 millimeter changes. There is another way. I don't have to invest in mutual funds. I don't have to save all my money for a rainy day. I don't have to work, you know, for 20 years to grow things at 2% and hope to be able to afford to retire. So the thing, like, just these different concepts that Robert introduced us to, A, the power of real estate, B, some ideas on how to get started. A lot of it's taken out of context too.
Yeah.
And he's licensed to the actual courses. And if you research Robert Kiyosaki and see his affiliation with these courses, he will even say he was a licensee to license his name out. He's not responsible for all this rich dad training. He never devised any of that curriculum. That was done through different companies that have altered and changed their names throughout the year. It has absolutely nothing to do with Robert Kiyosaki. Rich Dad Canada is Rich Dad Canada, and that's a branch of his Rich Dad whatever US, and it's worldwide.
Right.
But this education training, whether it's whatever names it goes under, I'm not going to name any specific names, that has nothing to do with them. And if you look at on Dateline and all these things that are Googled, you'll see him saying, I have no responsibility for those. He just has those concepts about leverage, concepts on the power of real estate, concepts on ways, you know, good debt versus bad debt, assets versus liabilities. As a wealth builder, these are the things that really kind of changed our idea towards us. And we realized rather than us working more, you know, we need to start getting some assets. And real estate really is the best asset that people can really use to get this freedom in their lives. And that's how we really, once we had those new ideas, we saw it was possible. That's when we really kind of got started and started getting the real estate.
So what, your mindset's changed at this point. What was your first purchase? Maybe how did you do your first purchase? Did it work? Was it a catastrophic failure like so many people's? Why don't you give us a rundown of your first real estate, first property? Do you still have it? All that information.
Well, if anyone's read our book, Real Estate Mistakes, you'll see we had a lot of catastrophic failures.
So where can people get that? Plug it in right now.
Yeah, Real Estate Mistakes on Amazon. We have ebook and print book, and I would get the print because you want to take the appendix and really kind of pick our brains, because we did a lot of different transactions in real estate, every strategy under the sun, every area, and we made a lot of mistakes. Phil knows. Probably, cried on your shoulder.
I was there with you, don't worry.
And, you know, that's the only way to really get in this industry, is to make these mistakes, because learning is doing, unless you're using someone else's system is doing it. So our first property was a ski condo in Blue Mountain. And
I don't think I know that.
You never seen the pictures of our beautiful ski condo. So we did
Carry
pretty
on.
well.
This is interesting.
No, this is really cool. So I grew up like skiing in Collingwood and all this stuff. So it was very familiar to me. Plus we were skiers, and this is something that we kind of like hid behind the property. So we did mistake number one. We mixed business and personal. So we're like, okay, let's buy a property.
So you could go there.
But maybe we'll go there too.
You
know, is that possible? And so that was our number one mistake. We bought it right. That was good. We got it below value. We were able to fix it up and increase the value. That was good. I think we renovated on a good budget. We did all that right. What did we do wrong? We used a mortgage agent in our area just because we didn't know anyone in the industry. So we used the wrong person who almost got us sued.
Oh, fun.
They told us to get rid of our financing or whatever, we'll be fine. Next thing you know, all of a sudden it's not so fine. We almost couldn't close.
So you didn't have a commitment when you firmed up on the property kind of thing from any bank?
I thought I did, but I didn't even know.
You were told maybe.
Exactly.
You're good to go. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That could have been a huge.
That's dangerous.
And as beginner investors for us, that was like a catastrophe. Like I was crying, and because we weren't investors at this point. We were buying a ski chalet. Like let's keep it real.
You don't know how to find last minute financing to close a deal when you really
we didn't know anyone. We had to use this lady who like fired our neighborhood. Like like we were at that same thing. Like our whole team were our same people. Like the lawyer would be the person who my dad knew. Right? Like the accountant was someone my dad knew. The mortgage lady was someone in our neighborhood. Like everyone was the same. The real estate was someone we found on MLS. Like we had no teams, no system,
investor
whatever.
Specific.
No.
Then that's, they don't understand.
It's a totally different language that whatever it is in wealth building, whether it be the realtor, mortgage agent, lawyer, etc. If they're not adapt to this and if they don't actually practice, it's really hard for them to give you good advice, because as you said, you learn from your mistakes, and as you keep going, you get better and better. So you want that team around you that knows what they're doing and has made mistakes.
How much does your team know? Like if you're just going getting random people. So when we work with people now, we're lucky to have this full team, and we know what our team knows. But I'll never tell another adult what to do. So say if you came to us like, I want advice, I'm not going to say fire your mortgage agent and you have to use our mortgage agent. It's not about that, but it's about having a team. So we either A, use our team, we could turnkey everything, or B, this is what you are going to have to ask your team.
Yep.
And so we can systemize the whole process.
So you can kind of help them guide along whether or not they have the right team in place. I think one of my criteria nowadays for any professional that's going to be involved in any aspect of my investing strategy is they need to be an investor themselves as well. To really understand, to make sure they've gone through the trials and tribulations, if you will, in their specific aspect.
Well, all of our real estate agents, they have to live in the area, work in the area, and have investment properties in that area, and a proven and that's all they do. We don't have these agents who are like on their phone all the time because they're trying to, be specialists in about 6 different areas across Ontario.
It's impossible. You're never going to be a specialist in 6 different markets. You'll be mediocre in all of them. And someone will always be able to kind of beat you out on that.
So if you're a generalist, you're never going to be, rich. You want to be a specialist, for sure.
So, okay, we're talking about all of your agents. We've talked about how you got started. Why don't we talk about what Real Property Investments actually is? Because I know we're circling a little bit on that. Let's talk about what Real Property Investments is. Why did you start Real Property Investments? Where are you at now with that?
All right. So Real Property Investments started out with Vaughn and I being investors. We wanted to build this wealth through investment. We started with that ski thing that we were telling you about. We grew our portfolio. We became familiar with all these different investment strategies and then made every mistake under the sun. So on our quest to being investors, we actually inadvertently turned into consultants.
Right.
Really. So now we have our advisement company, basically, where we operate not just in real estate, but we really believe in real estate is always behind all the investment products. So we could show people how to invest in actual real estate, and we have 13 outside consultants across Ontario. We have real estate models in each one of these areas, which turnkey up for investors. But we also educate people on how to build other aspects of wealth through passive investment products, because real estate is active. It's not passive, even if it's turnkey. And this would be more through joint venture opportunities. It could be more through private market products. It could be more through different types of passive investments, like going in as a lender. And we spend most of our time, we've grown all of our funds in these different areas that we promote with these issuers that we're promoting. And basically just tell people their options and make that introduction to the licensed professionals in each one of these areas. And the person really familiarizes themselves with that opportunity, with that model, and decides, is this for me? Am I going to move forward with this?
So when did you first start? When was the first moment that you thought, I have to start doing this?
Investing in real estate?
Yes.
Oh, that would have been like almost 10 years ago. And that's when we kind of hit that pivotal moment where we needed to start investing differently and doing something differently. And as we started doing like these events and these meetup groups, originally our groups, like now we have 3 groups that we host a month. It's a totally different concept because we've evolved substantially. We used to be real estate investors who would have people come into our group to guess who they're going to invest with, us. And that's how we got joint venture partners. And we were really focused on specific areas then. And we were evolving through our mistakes and our learning curve and all that sort of stuff. And as we ironed out all these kinks, basically that's what made us such great consultants. Now people come to our group and it's not to invest with us anymore. We're not taking on these joint venture partnerships. It's more an investment advisory firm saying, look, you do not have to invest in stocks, in mutual funds, or go haphazardly on your own in real estate. Here are some proven models, some proven systems, and other options and ways that you as a Canadian can build wealth to reach your goals. And our consulting really kind of gets them towards that individual goal and helps them create wealth today rather than worrying about 20 years from now.
Right. And you get to, I mean, you see everybody come into the group, and as individuals you can work with them to see maybe their risk tolerance, the returns they're looking for, the markets they might be comfortable with. And then you have so many options in terms of the experts that you can place them with wherever it seems like they land, right? As a model that'll fit well for them.
And it's always based on what are they trying to achieve, And each person, because I know you guys are doing Toronto And a lot of people think Toronto's an impossible market. Well,
Shocker, it's not.
You've proven that wrong. I mean, Toronto can be an extremely lucrative market. It doesn't have to be as expensive as people think it's going to be.
Yeah.
There are ways to get money, and you just have to have the specialists, like you two, involved to really create that model, and then we only focus on that model.
Right.
So someone who is looking, an investor who's able to grow their wealth in Toronto, probably won't want to grow their wealth in Barrie. And it would be very rare that we'd let you do both to begin with, because we really are big on focus. Yep. What works with you? What can you do? What do you want to do? And here's the model. We give that real integration as well. Come to Toronto. Come walk some of these properties. See it, smell it, touch it, taste it. You might hate this.
Don't taste it.
Yeah.
Tasting it is a really, really bad idea.
You might absolutely hate this. This is not for the weak of heart. And people often, after meeting with our specialists, touring these areas, walking these properties, come back and say, I absolutely hate real estate. These tenants scare the hell out of me. I cannot manage this every month. We're like, well, there's two options. They could do it for you. You can go in as a joint venture partner. Or if you like these returns, and this is specifically what you're trying to achieve, why don't you go in as a money partner?
Right.
And there are different ways people can go as that.
Right.
So we actually spoke about this on the last podcast, but there's a myth around Toronto, and it's because of the prices. So people see that the returns maybe aren't as high in general as an appreciation value. So they'll see, oh, it's only appreciating 5 or 10%. Why would I want to do that when I can go to a, let's say, Windsor or London, where they'll see 20% appreciation or 15%, and they're like, that's way higher. But what you have to remember, that the Toronto prices in the market are way higher to begin with. So they're at $1,800,000, $700,000. So a 5 to 10% change in $700,000 property is much more than a 20% change in a $200,000 property.
Yeah.
Yep.
So these are like little myths that that people, first see, and it's kind of a facade, and they don't dig deeper into it. But once you dig deeper, you understand that Toronto is actually a very strong place to invest, and there's a lot of money to be made.
Absolutely. It's got quite strong fundamentals here in the city, right? We're always going to have that influx of immigration, that influx of, there's always work to be had, tons and tons of work, lots in terms of transit, things like that, accessibility. But this isn't a Wise Toronto Suite podcast. If you're listening, you already know Toronto is a sweet city to invest in. So, where to go next? So I remember back, when we first met, what must have been like 5 or 6 years ago at this point.
A long time ago.
Did we have events? I think you might have just started off on event number 1.
No, we've been doing events for almost 9 years.
Yeah, okay, so there was,
we were like
it wasn't
the
all
first event aside from Rain. There was Rain, and then there was us.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it just the one?
It was
Thornhill
one.
event?
It was the GTA. Like we started off doing free events. We meet at these little coffee shops, or everyone starts, and we talk about, because we didn't know anyone. Like all of our people in our family were like, "You want to invest in real estate? You're crazy. What are you doing?" And we were trying to go to these other events, but there really weren't any, and we didn't really like what we were seeing, and we didn't want to join Rain because you had to go all the way to Mississauga, and I don't know what the hell Rain was, and it sounded super expensive. To be joining this membership, we're just trying to build wealth through real estate.
Right.
We had all these little kids. I think one was even like in vitro at this point. Some didn't even exist. It was a pretty thing time. So so we were pretty into it, but it was just the one. And I think by the time we met you, it was like at more of a set location.
Yeah,
it
was
a small
early
fee.
Early
we had
Oshawa model days. Yeah, I think there was speakers. I think it was just one event though, if I remember, back when we were writing offers in Tim Hortons on a napkin, basically.
I remember that. We actually had to do a deal on a napkin in Tim Hortons. I swear to, talk about napkin numbers, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
It does exist. That'd be something out of Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
I know. Hey, we found this property on Kijiji. I found you on Kijiji, I think, first of all.
What?
Yeah. That's here. Why don't we talk about...
My marketing worked there.
No kidding. I was... I think I was just looking for off-market deals or something along those lines back when I was in that other space, trying to find off-market deals, had access to capital, and then I don't even know, you popped up with some ad, and then we ended up checking out this other random off-market property in Oshawa that was like midway through a renovation, and the guy was selling it renovated, but it wasn't yet renovated.
And he had to renovate it.
It was an interesting deal. Totally off market.
And my
Bang
kids
deal,
were in
though.
the car. Remember, my kids were little in their car, and then they were too scared to get out of the car to pee, and so one had to pee in a bottle because he was 3 years old, and his favorite word at that time was crackhead. Because we used to do so much in Oshawa, and this is why you should not bring your kids to job sites. People, don't do what we did. Take them to the park. Get a babysitter. No, what we'd have to. We were so heavy in the real estate. We were so heavy in acquisitions and locating these off-market properties that we'd be driving these kids around, and they'd be crying, and then I remember in Oshawa, this is so many years ago, like when Oshawa was so bad.
Yep.
North Oshawa didn't even exist. There was no Oshawa.
No.
And we'd be in the parking lot waiting for the agent, and drug dealers would be circling the car, and our kids would be crying. And they're like, we don't want to move here. I'm like, we don't move here. It was,
hey kids, did mommy leave her wallet in the car?
Oh my God.
So you did this, you started and you just dove right into this in the middle of being a new mom.
Oh yeah.
How difficult was that? Because that alone, just diving into real estate is one thing.
Yeah.
And having kids is probably the toughest thing you can possibly do.
It is the toughest.
And you juggled both at the same time. So how did you find that whole process was?
Well, being like a parent is impossible. Being a parent of 4 kids is so impossible. Being an entrepreneur is impossible. Like, it's all so impossible. And I always think of like, we watch Dragon's Den a lot. And one time the one lady, she said something's really impactful. I think it was the Manjeet's lady. And she said something impactful because someone used the excuse of a family. And she said, well, we all have families. And I think that's really true. Everyone has a family. So if you're out there and you're using your kids as an excuse, your family as an excuse, we use our kids to actually motivate us. Now, we lost 3 years of our lives as parents because when we started this investing journey, we were in a totally different mindset. We've earned our stripes. We were putting in 20-hour days. I will call BS, and I will say I'm doing this for my kids. It was so BS. I was doing it for me. We thought we were like, we always say Donald Trump when Donald Trump was a good thing. These NLP, I don't know what they fed us on the water in these courses, but we were just so different. We're so unique. We're such superstars. We're doing deals here and there and everywhere. And kids will be like, Mommy. And we're like, what? Like it was just negligent parents. This one over here is working
That's
like
Vaughn off
15-hour days, coming home, putting on a suit and going out to events that we're hosting and hitting people and like even when we had our first thing, we had our daughter when we started at our meetup group too. And it was just like, for a long time, we were the real estate group with a baby and we didn't stop. We brought a 2-week-old out to these things. So I think, kids, they will stop us to some extent because we realize that time lost and we've restructured our whole business to not be based around ego and this chasing 100 properties and I'm so successful because I have 100 properties and I've done this and I've done that. And I find that a lot
for some people. Like it's great to have that goal, right? Of hey, I'm going to get 100 properties. I think what a lot of people don't realize, coming from someone who's managed 100 properties, it's a lot of work.
And it's like having 100 kids.
It's a full-time job plus some, right?
It's obnoxious
when you can get the returns that you need to never have to work a day in your life again with 10 or less in a lot of markets, right?
Or one. Like we have a webinar that says how one property can help you be a total game changer for your financial portfolio. One property can help you create this huge freedom in your life. It does not have to be 100. Now you can obviously do more than one. Like I'd say the sweet spot would be maybe 3 to 5.
We have a lot of clients sitting in that range.
Yeah.
I mean,
once
we're
you get to that stage,
professional real estate investors. All of us, we're in the industry. We have our portfolios, whatever. This is what we do for a living. What about all the Canadians out there who want to build wealth through real estate? They don't want to flip and invest $100,000 on an education. They don't want to do it themselves. We need people that work. We can't have everyone running around being entrepreneurs. We need doctors, lawyers, accountants. We need scientists who come up with cures. What about these people and giving them options to grow their money? And they come to these events to get this information. They see some dingbat at the start of the room, do some haphazard strategy that's probably not even proven. They just want your money to invest it.
Yep.
And they're in a room with people who are all have hundreds of properties and think, I don't have 100 properties. I don't have the time. So now I'm just going to, not be in the game at all. I'm going to do nothing. Go back to my
mutual funds.
Yeah. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad. And so as us, and people always ask, how many properties do you have in your portfolio? How much? I never even tell them the answer either because I don't care. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I say I have a full-time investment company. I operate with my husband. We have multiple corporations. We have multiple streams of income. It doesn't have anything to do with our ability to help you build wealth.
That's your full-time gig, right? That has no bearing on somebody else's full-time gig. If that's where your income comes from. If you're a doctor and your primary income is that, having a few of these put off to the side to help build that long-term wealth for when you're ready to retire, etc. That's in a lot of cases all they need. Right?
Exactly.
And that's the first thing, as we said previously. A lot of people like to just take a quick glimpse at things, and they don't do their research and don't do their due diligence on them. When you take a quick glimpse, it's easy to ask someone, how many properties do you own?
Yeah.
And you say, I own whatever number, let's say 6. And they'll go, oh, I know someone who owns 100. Why would I listen to you?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they don't know all the actual facts of it. Maybe your 6 properties are actually cash flowing way higher than that person's 100 that they just buy for no reason.
You could have 100 doors in Detroit that turn you over $25 a month, or you could have one in Toronto that turns you over $2,000 a month.
Or you can have your 4 kids and you take them to soccer practice and you do all these other things that take up your time. And you create those other relationships with people. It's not all about business 24/7.
Well, that's funny you said that, because that's actually what we try to do. So we have our freedom goals and we try to have other people create that. So some of my biggest accomplishments and what we've helped people through this investing in real estate and through investing in these products they didn't know about before is helping people leave their jobs. Right. Now, they love their jobs. Like, we had one couple, great clients, and it was actually the wife's an engineer, and it was the husband who wanted to leave his job. So what did we do? We focused on replacing his income. They had a lot of assets. We were restructuring. We were helping them invest, showing them options. We reached the goal. They had another baby in the meantime. They went away for 6 months to a place where they're from. I'm not going to out anyone on this webinar here. And, spent it, and they had the money and the income to be able to do that. And then after, she's like, I love my job as an engineer. I love this and that, But when she came back from vacation, she goes, now that I have 2 babies, it's a little different. I really want to leave my job now. We're like, all right, well, that's your freedom goal. That's your action plan. Let's restructure this. And we're just looking at their assets, reformulating their investments and having them. Now, we could help people grow extra businesses as well. Or some people change jobs. Some people just want to have the goal for their kids, or they want more time. A lot of people go from full-time to part-time or change industries, because people are more and more cognizant of the value of time and how valuable it is, and the time away from what they really want to be doing. Like, we help people actually get a life. We are not going to be out there having you look for 100 properties and working 20-hour days like we did. Like, we earned our stripes in that regards to learn our systems, learn our models. Now we've created that life of freedom for ourselves, where our kids come first. So based on their schedule, there's 4 of them. They're all in competitive sports. And we do volunteer in their classroom as well. So kids first, So our business goals are structured around A, our kids' schedule. Then B, what are our fitness goals? Because if we're not alive and we're not healthy to enjoy this, then what the heck is the point of this too? So quite often, Vaughn will do his CrossFit training. I'm on the tennis court at least 3 times a week. We're really kind of getting that fun and that fitness, and it makes us better entrepreneurs as well.
Right.
And then after that, we slot in this business that we absolutely love. And the reason we love it is because it's passion-filled, purpose-driven business. If we're not out there hosting our events and educating our clients and giving that, we're in the field volunteering and educating students, libraries, and people who are actually at-risk youth, on ideas, entrepreneurship, wealth building. We're in this to make a difference in the world and let people know.
That's brilliant. I think the lack of financial literacy in schools nowadays is astounding. So that
I was in economics and finance. That's what I took in university. And I would say 80% of the people that graduated still have no clue how to actually save. We know how to work. That's what they teach you. They teach you how to work. You can be an accountant. You can be a financial planner. But do you really know how to do it for yourself? Personal growth? I took a course that was about personal growth and personal savings. I learned absolutely nothing in it.
Great.
I learned more on YouTube videos and tutorials. Yeah. And it's crazy. That's what blew my mind about university. I'm not saying university is bad. I believe it's a signaling sort of thing. You can do it, then you can probably conquer the world. You can do whatever you put your mind to.
Well, it teaches you a higher level of thinking.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're able to critically analyze things. What I did for fun the other morning is I wrote a book. And it was actually
For fun the other morning. She writes a book.
I wrote a book, and it was a manual. I need to create it. Maybe you help me create this. Get it out there. We'll do an ebook. I don't know. We'll get this information out. But it's really important. And it's actually the financial, because I do read 5 books a week at least. And I always read and analyze and then kind of rewrite, because I have that, we don't believe we're the people who take the information and revamp the information and get it out on how people actually can make a difference and actually achieve. And this was actually a financial planning book that we read and then just revamp it. A lot of them are onto the right thing, but it has to be tweaked.
Yes.
So do you want to know the number one wealth goal? This rule number one for wealth building and financial planning. What would you guess it is?
I don't know. Tell me.
Yeah, just hit me. I don't even.
No guesses?
Rule number one?
Yeah.
Or the one goal?
Rule number one for building wealth. What would you guess it would
be? Is that like it's like a save a certain amount of your income
or whatever it is, save 10% of what you make or whatever.
You're very close. It's pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first 10% every month. I don't care if you're in a homeless shelter.
We're kind of smart.
And you're out there. If you're in a homeless shelter, we're in Toronto right now filming here. We're going to go down. And we're going to make $10 in that day. 10% of that $10 best be going into an account. You pay yourself first before you get any food, before you pay Hydro One. This is the problem with a lot of people.
This is Toronto. We pay Toronto Hydro.
Yeah. It's not people in general. What do you have here in Toronto?
Toronto Hydro. It's not Hydro One.
Toronto Hydro.
We're not as bougie as Hydro One.
Well, we have you managing all of the Toronto investments.
Yeah. So you don't need to know who you're paying the Hydro dollars to.
We don't pay utilities for tenants. Landlords out there, get your tenants to pay their own utilities. Oh, I hate that. I have enough bills to open. I do not want to open other people's bills. But yeah, pay yourself first. And this is where people really, really go wrong is they take the income that they make and they might set it aside, whatever, after they're paying themselves. But if you put yourself first, you're always going to be figuring out a way to make more money. Because sometimes you have to make more money. Maybe it's not, we're not a budget kind of person. We are creating streams of income. We believe everyone should have 7 residual streams of income. There's a huge wealth building tip for you there. So your ideas are free. How can you take your ideas and utilize them to be constantly making you money? And this is really what gives you that extraordinary life.
Let me play devil's advocate here because I know I've heard this a bunch and you've definitely heard this a bunch. What would you say to someone that goes, I can't afford to put away 10% of
Neither can I. I can't afford it either. And I do it all the time. You can't afford it. If you have an automatic savings plan and you just take it away and put it away, you could afford it. You'll figure out a way to pay other people.
I love that.
That's what it is.
Sometimes they might get paid a little later.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes they won't get paid at all. And then they're going to take their service away.
And then you get real creative.
Yeah, well then you figure out how to afford their service.
Stream of income.
Exactly. You'll figure out how to do it. Let's pretend, let's go back to, what is this, Toronto Power?
Toronto Hydro. You're spending too much time in Timmins.
Okay, so let's pretend Phil, he's just so determined, Sue. He's determined to make this podcast to go. He doesn't want to be a Toronto expert real estate agent anymore. He just wants to be a podcaster, and he's not making any money. So you guys better pay him for this podcast. Okay? And he's getting his, maybe you're only making $10.
We're not monetizing yet. Don't worry. You're still safe.
But
you're checking it on Patreon.
Yeah, let's start. Let's make this your residual stream.
Let's have a GoFundMe.
There we go.
GoFundMe for the podcast.
There's 2 streams right there. Patreon and GoFundMe.
Yeah, we're good.
Excellent.
That's the millennial way of creating extra streams of income.
It is.
So what would be your number one thing? You want to have this podcast, you want to have it up and running, whatever, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And you want to make it profitable and you want to make money. This is your only stream of income, let's pretend. Okay, so you're not...
This is hypothetical.
Yes.
Exactly. It's totally hypothetical.
It's
so you obviously, even though you feel like you have nothing, you have to pay yourself first. And then what about your rent? What about your power? We don't have power. We don't have this. I mean, you might get pretty... Phil might be a squatter. I
do know the ins and outs of the Residential Tenancies Act, so I think that's my first point of leverage if I have no money.
You could be a squatter who hustles a generator, and we could be doing this podcast here while you're saving your 10%.
Perfect.
See, that's out of the box thinking to get things going.
Pay your landlord, folks.
Yeah,
please.
Don't be a squatter though. Let's not go there.
But seriously, the point of the whole silly argument really is figure out, pay yourself first, and everything else you will figure it all out. You will find a way to make more money. It's not saving money; it's making more money. And maybe this Toronto Power thing is too high, and you need to change to a different company or you have to go elsewhere. Like that, it forces you to think differently when you have what you have. But people often, they make more money and then they'll find a way to spend that too. People go up and up and up and oops, and then they spend their money. And in reality, you should really be figuring out a way to pay yourself first and always be investing in yourself first.
And what I like to tell a lot of people, especially in the 20 to 30 demographic, I know a lot of people that work check to check, they live check to check, which is fine. That's
most of this country.
it's 90%.
Most of the
plus.
country actually is not even living check to check. They're actually living on borrowing.
Right. Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, they live in that whole mindset of, I work my 5 days a week. On Friday, I'm going to go out and spend this much money and just enjoy my time. What I've told a lot of my friends and sphere of influence is really think about every dollar you spend. Put it in perspective of, let's say, minimum wage. You get paid, let's say, what is it now, $15 an hour? Yeah. Let's say you go out and spend $100. That's like you're working a full day, roughly. So really think about that. Do you need to have maybe those 6 drinks? Maybe you're buying 6 beers or 5 beers, or maybe you buy a new shirt every week. Do you really need that extra small cost? It might not seem a lot, and it might give you that instant satisfaction. Yeah. Yep. But holding off purchases like this and just saving it instead, you'll make that 10% a lot faster than if you didn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, think about it this way too. Let's pretend they have their 10%. Okay, they're living paycheck to paycheck, and they're paying themselves first. Okay, so they have all their bills, their landlord bills, their power bills, their cell phone, and whatever it is. Okay, they pay themselves first, and those are becoming tighter. And then the shirt comes, and then they're more likely to say no to the shirt because they've already paid themselves first. Yeah. It's not even beyond like limiting themselves, or say they feel really depressed because they don't have this shirt. I want this shirt. I need shopping. It makes me happier. I like to have this. Then it puts it more being aware and not just buying things for the sake of buying, but saying, buying these shirts are really important to me because it really brings joy to my life. So not only am I going to pay myself first every month, now I know all these other assholes here, they want all this money from me too. I got to get all that done. But I'm going to make that little bit extra money because buying this clothing is important to me, or buying this car is important to me, or living in this area is just a little more important to me. This is going to force me to stretch and make that income.
Right.
Sure.
Help you grow. So I was gonna say, you see those like memes all the time, right? You get the paycheck and you're living like a baller day 1, 2, 3, and then you're steady decline, right? And you're just kind of like pinching pennies until the day that you get paid.
And then you're eating your junior chickens from McDonald's.
There's nothing wrong with junior chickens from McDonald's, people. $1.79 or whatever they are. Great meal.
It's all about the value.
Three of them at a time, 4 of them at a time.
Okay, fair.
Oh my God, it's all about the value.
I'm living bougie.
The value meals.
What are you eating, Big Macs over here? Whoa, buddy.
Double quarter pounder, but whatever.
He's living the dream.
So what I meant to say is essentially you can have if you're already going to be doing this up and down spike anyways, instead of spending on $200 bar bills, guilty back in the day. Just take those funds and put them away, and then live the exact same way you would have been living anyways. However, just a fraction wealthier, and over time that's going to grow. And if you really, like you said, if you really do want those extravagant things, you'll find a way.
But just listen to this though: you put the money aside, then you go to the bar, and you run up this stupid bar bill, and then your rent's due. Then you're really going to be hurting. You have to ask your parents. You have to figure out something. You have to go into savings. You have to do something. You can't go back into that account, by the way. To go and pay for this, because you have to feel that pain. You have to feel the problem, and that's when people make the difference and the change in their life. You have to feel the pain has to outweigh the certainty. Yeah. And this is what Tony Robbins always says. So this is what happened with us. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I didn't want to go to work full time, leave my kids. I wanted that freedom in my life. The pain was these inability to invest and the inability to pay for these future costs. I could stay at home. My kids are going to have to figure out their own way to go to school. We're never going to have a legacy for them. We're going to have to settle for being average. My worst fear is being average.
Preach.
Being average is just, I'd rather be dead than being average. It's just, that's what scares the hell out of me, is living an average life. I'm very cognizant. Every day is a gift. You wake up. Yep. We are so lucky to be here. You want to wake up excited. You want to wake up alive. And you want to just really kind of seize the day and take advantage of it and live this one life, because tomorrow is not for certain. And people are living their life for a future date that really is not a certain thing.
Yeah.
So you need to really, be cognizant of that. Live your best life today. What is going to give that to you? And when often it is material, like it does cost to live. Money is very important. Whether you're giving it to others or trying to help others, money is very important. So being cognizant of the money that you have and figuring out, how am I going to make this? Is this going to get me what I need it to get? And if not, I want to be empowered of ideas that I can make more money so I can have my best life. I can give this life to others. I can, give to charity, and I can be empowered. I hate the fact that people are given a certain thing and they think, these are the cards I was given, these are the cards I'm dealt with, and this is what I have to do. I cannot go outside this box. I want everyone to break out of their box.
And that's actually the hardest part, is when you're at that point. So I was at that point. Everybody's been at that point at one point of their lives where they feel stuck. They feel like the system's against them, the market's against them. Screw money. I don't need it. I'm going to try to just be happy. And that's where you find yourself going to the bars, spending the extra money. Once you pay yourself first, you start working more hours, making more money, and saving more money. You realize that you're much happier because you have that sense of stability. And people need a sense of stability. That's why people get married. That's why people stay in groups and keep family and friends. That's the whole point of it, is the stability in your life. So once you have that savings account growing and your investments growing, you don't need your 6-7 drinks. You don't need to get drunk, blackout at a bar and hanging out and whatever. You realize that you're okay with your water and your one drink or your glass of wine, and you're super happy. You want to wake up the next day ready to go, keep it going, keep the cash flow coming, eat, sleep, cash flow, just like Phil's shirt.
Another shirt from our fall collection.
You should put this on in your store.
This is our fourth stream of income. There you go.
I love this. No,
we'll have a Shopify store for the apparel.
So one thing I want to ask all the viewers out there, I want to say, how much are you worth if you stop working? And if you stop going to work, how much money are you bringing in? And that's an excellent way that people can really assess their wealth and assess where they're at. How much income do you generate if you're physically not able to go into work? Now, Warren Buffett says, if you don't make money when you sleep,
there you go.
You are going to work until you die. And that's the whole rat race. That's the whole people on the hamster wheel. That's what people are doing. Yes, good for you for working. That's great. I hope you love your job. You find a lot of passion, whatever. But I also hope that if something happens in your life, or sometimes what if your job unchooses you, that you are able to tap into income that you can provide, for yourself. And you're not so dependent on your job. Imagine the freedom. You know what freedom is? It's not sitting on a beach all day.
Yes.
That gets boring. It's going to work and knowing that if your paycheck, gets cut off for whatever reason,
safe one way or the other.
You would still go.
Yeah.
I think love what you do.
That's a very good point, especially nowadays with this huge FIRE movement that's happening, and everyone kind of, I think the guys that are doing it are kind of doing it the right way, but a lot of people, when you say to somebody who's maybe not so investment savvy, hey, I plan to retire when I'm 30.
Do you want to explain what FIRE is for people who don't know?
The acronym stands for financial independence and retire early. So when I go tell my mom, hey, Mom, I'm going to retire at 30, she thinks I'm absolutely batshit crazy, right? Because everyone else has a different definition of the term retire. Going to go be on a beach for the next however many years of my life and do nothing. That's the old school definition of retiring. I think new school definition being that freedom piece that you mentioned. I don't necessarily have to quit my job, but knowing that if something ever happened, if there was ever a health concern, life situation changes, I lost my job, I'm comfortable, I'm covered.
Yeah.
That is freedom, right? And then if maybe your job isn't your passion, for a lot of people it is, so they don't need to leave. If your job isn't your passion, you can go start your passion.
Yeah.
And I think it's the fetish of being on a beach all day with people who don't know how to have that money when you sleep, how to make it. That sounds amazing. You're like, I don't want to work anymore. I'd rather just be laying on a beach for a year. It's a fantasy.
Because work is a chore for
and it's a chore, and it's always a fantasy. But once you do have that passive income, you start making it. Your job becomes more of a hobby than a paycheck that you need to live off of. It's more like now you can buy that, Balenciaga, whatever, or whatever it is, Gucci handbag, and whatever it is, you can buy it because you can afford this now. And you realize, I don't need a year on the beach. I'm happy with 2 weeks, and then I'm right back in it. I'm missing it. By day 7, I'm like, I need to get back. I want to continue making money. It's actually enjoyable to you
because you have the time to do things that you actually is meaningful, something that you actually want to do. And everyone should be doing whatever's meaningful in their life, because that's when you have this passion, you really are allowed to express yourself. And everyone in this world has something to offer. I believe in every single human being has something to offer. And usually when people are miserable or unhappy is they're just not in the right spot. And so how can you get to that spot? How can you help people by doing meaningful work and with people tied to jobs because they have to pay for this or have to pay for that, and they're accepting that's just the way it is. A lot of people never have a chance to express that.
Right.
And a lot of people also retire and die. I hate to tell you this too.
Yes.
And a lot of the reason they die is they have no purpose with their work because they don't really get a chance to, know who they are as a human being.
Right.
Know, what their interests are, what their likes are, what their dislikes are. And there's time in your life where you do go through different cycles and phases about figuring out some you'll work harder, some are more devoted to raising a family, some are, finally most people don't have time for themselves until they're like in their 60s.
Right.
And then they go, who the hell am I?
Yeah.
So freedom also really is, I'd encourage everyone out there listening, no matter how old you are, to figure out what it is you like to do and how can you incorporate that into your week. Because I think when you really pull out who you are and what your interests are and actually do something that really is not work related, it's just what is something that you find fun, interesting. It may not make you money, like playing tennis does not make me money.
Right.
But it makes me a better investor. It makes me a better businesswoman. It makes me a better partner. It makes me a better parent. It makes me a better overall person because it really kind of taps into your interests and that's really what the freedom really is about.
There we go.
For sure.
That was a heavy freedom talk.
It was. And
it's all about freedom.
It starts with the foundation. You want to build up a house, a building with foundation first. You don't build the 12th story first.
You mean you don't start at the top?
Well, a lot of people need to hear this because it starts with the smallest thing possible. You're going to be laying in bed at 11 a.m. and you're going to think, what am I doing here? Blah, blah, blah. It's another day. Got to wake up. Got to do this again.
Because you're not motivated.
You're not motivated. You have to start with something small. Clean your room. Make your bed.
Yeah.
Get up at the same time every day. Start going to the gym 3-4 times a week. Like you said, tennis. Pick up a hobby. And that will help you succeed more than anything else at the first step. If you don't have that consistency, I always go back to stability. You need that stability in your life where you can fall back on anything because you're happy. You're motivated. Now, I think you're seeing it a lot with a rise in people feeling sad. I don't want to use any words right now because, that's not my business.
And it's probably not politically correct.
It's not, well, it's not a political correctness. It's just, whatever. Everybody battles their demons.
Yep.
But
we all have demons.
We all have demons.
Absolutely.
And the best way to fight your demons isn't to sit back and talk about how you have demons.
It's not even demons, is it? Isn't it just life?
I think it's just life.
Yeah.
I think we've grown to have this soft life where we're like, I deserve to watch TV for 4 hours a day. I deserve to get my nails done or go tanning every day. If we look back 100 years, it's pretty good.
How are my nails?
Impressive.
Ooh, these are stubby nails.
Your tan's impressive though. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably from the tennis or whatever.
It's all that tennis.
From the tennis.
But excuse me. What I was saying is if you go back 50, 100 years. I mean, when was that? World War II? It was 80 years ago.
Yeah.
80 years ago. That lifestyle. Actually. You think people back then were worried about missing a TV show?
Yeah.
No, they were just
soft.
trying to survive.
We have become way too soft as a society.
And it's about making yourself hard again. Go to the gym. I like saying go to the gym because it sucks. Even people who like going to the gym will tell you it's tough. You break a sweat.
I don't know, man. Ask Billy.
Sometimes
I hate it.
But you have pre-workout for that. Yeah. Like there's things to help you.
Yeah.
And you got to do things that make you uncomfortable because we're humans. That's what we've always done. Go to ancient times, uncomfortable 24/7.
Yep.
And that's what it was. That was life. So you have to find ways to make yourself uncomfortable.
Always challenge yourself.
And you can learn from it.
Beyond your limits.
And you will become happier. That's the craziest thing. It's you think of it in your mind before you do it, and it seems like such a big task.
Yeah.
You start small, you organize your life, get up at a certain time, conquer the day the same way, and then you can build and you can add more difficult things on your journey.
I always say you want to wake up feeling excited and you want to go to bed feeling accomplished.
That's great. I really like that.
Really being reflective and talking at the end of the day, what did I achieve? What should I be proud of? And if you're not growing, you're dying. So that's part of being a progressive person. Most people just go through the same old, like Tony Robbins says, you know, you wake up and what does he say? You look in a box and you live in a box and you talk in a box, you get in a box, you drive to a box, you look at a box, you watch a box, and then at the end of your life you end up in a box. Oh, you know, like let's get out of this box, let's start living. Like I did something interesting to help me grow last week. Do you want to know what I did?
What was
you
that?
Should put this picture on the podcast.
Oh boy.
I entered myself into a Tough Mudder run.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that. How long did it take? How crazy was it? It took us
so many hours because none of us could run 5K and none of us trained and none of us, you know, had any training.
But you survived.
We had so much fun and it's really pleasant actually I've never even been in mud before. Like I don't even think I've gotten my shoes dirty before.
Mudding's a whole thing.
I've never run 5K. I've certainly never climbed anything. You know, I tried to run up the slide with my kids and I'm like, no, that's not happening. You know, so it was total challenge. We didn't prepare at all. We just went with a really great open attitude, ready to accept anything. And we actually went through all 13 obstacles. We got through the whole race. I figured out I love mud. I got all these bruises that I was so proud of because I'm like, I'm so bruised. This is so fun. But it was just fun, and it was just really that putting yourself out of your comfort zone, I think is really, really important because if you're not growing, you are dying. So now we're going to do it next year, and we're going to try to get even more people.
Nice. Okay, we're in.
Yes.
We're in.
We need Team Tough Mudder.
I don't like mud.
Wuss.
Oh,
come on.
You'll love it. It's
I'm
so
a city.
fun.
Isn't there one that like electrocutes you while you're going through it or something?
Yeah, there is one. You have to army crawl underneath. Yeah,
we didn't get electrocuted. I was a bit pissed off about that whole electrocution point because I do not like the thought of anyone electrocuting
that seems
me.
a little intense.
It kind of gets on my nerves a little bit. So I was a bit, but I was going to do it.
Okay.
And I was, to tell you the truth, the mindset I was in, it turned out to be the 10K. So I went through this whole race planning on being electrocuted at the end. Yeah. Okay. And I wasn't happy one bit. And I had this electrocution strategies. So the end of the day, my mindset was, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to get through this shit because it can't kill me. Otherwise, I wouldn't legally be able to do this. Yeah. Or I'm just going to crawl under it. I'm going to figure it out when it comes to it. And even if it causes pain, it's just going to be temporary. But at least I'll get through that race at the end of it and say, I went through it. I achieved. I got electrocuted like woohoo. Like, it's not like I'm going to say, turn up the voltage. And I'm going to like plan to be electrocuted again. Well, the point of it is,
I'd be the one challenging the machine. Like, crank it up. Let's do this.
Sometimes you get electrocuted in life. You know, like that's life, and it literally. It literally.
Did you see the picture I posted of the back of our new purchase a couple weeks ago?
Oh yeah, the open wire.
What is it?
There's a line. This is kind of common in this area because we have a lot of detached garages. So there's a real handyman special. Somebody ran a power line above ground from a little bit of a one-story addition to the garage to power the garage, not BX or anything. We're talking about an interior line. Run it to the back, strap it to a metal pole in the middle of the backyard, and wrap it up with rusty wire, completely open to the elements.
Oh my god!
So God forbid, if you want to talk about electrocution, someone goes and grabs that pole.
He was training for Tough Mudder.
That's it. Just training for Tough Mudder.
And so like
never made it to the race.
But as investors and in the Toronto market, you guys are dealing with a lot of older homes and all that stuff. You're going to see all sorts of this crazy stuff. But I wanted to thank you because for so many years when we were building, you know, our portfolio and doing our advice to people, we were always like focusing on these tertiary markets, like 2 hours away from Toronto, areas with high economic fundamentals. But I think you two are really on to something here in Toronto, and I feel really grateful that you guys have discovered a model that works because people often chase cash flow and low purchase price points, and that's not the thing, guys. Like a $50,000 home could be negative cash flow. A $5 million home could be a cash cow. Not that we do $5 million homes. I'm using this as a point of example.
Yep.
But say if a house is 1.13 or under, whatever, you know, it all depends on the model, the investment strategy, the ability to pull the money back out, and it's what the investor has to do it for you, basically. So when you're looking at this, you want to look at the total ROI. And if you're able to invest at this price point, this might be something you want to consider because one home in Toronto could be equivalent to, say, 2 homes in Barrie. Now, Barrie is a great market as well, and it's not that much less expensive, really.
Yeah, it's getting up there now.
Same with Durham, but they're all different markets. So you as an investor, you have to ask yourself, where do I want to invest? What can I do? So we always tell people, go to their mortgage specialist, first of all, see what they can qualify.
Yes.
If they say, oh, you have the funds, you have whatever, you might want to consider doing a multifamily home in Toronto. It never is going to have unemployment. It's always only
our
picking the right
rate
areas.
Is nil.
There's a lot of cons. You have double land transfer tax.
Yep.
You know, you might have multiple offers. You might have whatever. But with the right team, you could learn how to don't be electrocuted by double land transfer tax. Don't be electrocuted by multiple offers. You know, like there are ways around all this stuff. And you guys have proven that investing in Toronto is an option. Is it easy? No. Is it your problem? No. It's their problem. It's their system. This is all I do all day long.
Yep. I'm putting those on the spring collection.
Thank you for that.
Don't be electrocuted by double land transfer tax. That's going on the spring line of filling the kid
You'll
wear.
find the same problems in Toronto and Windsor and Barrie and Oshawa and KWC and all of our areas. None of our experts are in there like living the easy life. They're in the trenches creating these models, doing it for so many people, and you know, making a great living for themselves as well as other investors, putting out their passion and showing people how to do it right.
Yeah.
You know, and people who are looking to invest in real estate, you really want to look at the people behind and go, is this someone like that sounds like they know what they're talking about? Is this someone who has created this freedom in their life, you know, and is this someone who just wants me to partner with them and you know, do this on their investment sort of thing? Like, always look at the facilitator and say, is this someone I could relate to and someone I'd want to be like? So there's a lot of people to learn from. So
I've had the question asked to me, what's in it for you? Because people always think there's a catch. There's a lot of, I don't want to say scams, but there's scams going out there that they tell you, give me your money and I'll teach you this, and then give me more money and you're going to end up like me one day.
Yeah.
That's not what we offer. The reason we do provide all the services we do is that we want to grow a team around us, so a family around us. We'd rather have that one really good client that learns from us, gets really successful, starts investing, has that retirement, and could work with us and trust us than 1,000 clients that we don't even know their names. And
because then you're that one client as you help them. You see, most people come to people like us because most people are not investing in real estate, first of all. Most people are trying to do things the traditional way, or they're just overspending, or they just don't think it's for them. And you have that one person who comes to say real property investments, or comes to fill in the kid, you know, goes there and really wants to make the difference. Often they're on their own. And so we really want to nurture that person and show them the realities, what you can achieve. And it's only natural as we are their source of support because no one else is doing it. But as they start creating this freedom life and it starts to show and people are like, hey, didn't see you at work. You seem to be working a lot of flex time or something, or, you know, oh, you're not working Saturdays anymore. Like, what's going on sort of thing. You know, people in their environment will notice. And this is the like a proper pull in. It's not like a hard sell. We don't like the sell from the stage.
You're not hit from 12 of my Facebook ads before.
No, but when
it's
people
very natural.
They see their friends achieving. They're like, hey, well, maybe I'll give it a go. Because usually people, like birds in a feather, flock together. Where there's one great client, there's usually 10 more in that close inner circle, and they will be drawn in naturally. Because I think another thing that we all do here too is we treat our so-called clients as family, because we do care about them. You want what's best for them. And what I love with you guys as real estate agents is you are not in scarcity mode. Oh, I need to get in this highest price. Like all of our agents that we work with, they're getting off-market stuff. Do you think that gets them the big deal? Like you guys would be making more money if you just went for end users and you got in these multiple bidding wars.
For sure.
But then you know what? There's no more value than helping people, showing them, and a repeat client, and then a repeat client with a network of repeat clients that you actually become friends with.
Exactly.
And you can enjoy.
I like to say, like, the clients that I'd go out and grab a beer with kind of thing. Yeah. That's what I want my portfolio of clients to be made up of, right? Not a one-time relationship over the course of 20 years.
Exactly.
Yeah, the best thing for us and the best possible gift we could receive is a referral. That means that we're doing our job. That means that there's happy people working with us, and we can grow and make more happy people.
Yeah. And the best way for your clients and stuff to come in, people who have clients, is to bring them out. Like we have our monthly networking events. You have a monthly networking event here in Toronto, and you invite them out and find out what they're doing. And hey, look at this. Have you guys ever heard of this option? Let me show you. Or here, we're having free drinks. Here, come meet us. Here's some information, and really kind of staying in the loop, seeing because their needs change, and they also might need help managing their investment too. A lot lot of people, they come to us, they figure out that I don't want to join Real Property Investments, I want to do it on my own. And they might go and use the experts and stuff. And we're always trying to draw them back in and following up. Okay, you might need help after that point. You know, we're always here for you. You can do it on your own, but don't ever be scared of asking for help, because things change. If you're doing real estate, it's an active investment, and, you know, it takes a lot of work. And, you know, if you're the person, the only expert at the end of it, and it's your first property, you know, you're going to make mistakes.
Right.
So don't ever be scared to ask for help, and really, you know, if you're not going to do it totally turnkey, at least, you know, use resources around you and reach out to people.
Yeah, there is a lot of information out there in the real estate industry. So it's good to have the guiding light, if you will, to show you where to kind of turn.
So your networking event, that's November 3rd?
Wow.
That's the monthly.
Okay.
But there is,
that's
let's talk about the big event,
The
November
big
3rd.
one. The big one. So we do have monthly networking events. We have one in Barrie, we have one in Burlington, and we have one in the Greater Toronto area in Thornhill. And you have yours here, right?
Yes.
In Toronto too. Perfect. See, all you out there, you have no excuse not to go somewhere every month. Anyway, so what this really does is gives the information. We are a bit different than other groups. We don't just like haphazardly have people for entertainment or whatever. Like, we are a fully turnkey team and system, and we only have our experts present because we know they have good material. I think a lot of event coordinators might get people out there who have these, maybe they've done like 100 transactions or whatever, or they're doing things on a large scale, but who says they're doing it the right way in the large scale? Are you personally growing your money with this? Like, for the people who come in our room, we want to show them what we're doing and how we're growing our money and what we've achieved as a result, and letting them get the same results, not just getting people for entertainment factor. And so that's what we do every month, and we're blessed to work with amazing specialists. We thought, why not have a full day event where we have all of our experts and speakers perform all day long. They can show what their offer is in booths, but also from the stage, main stage presentations. We're going to have a really fun day of entertainment and education, because I speak at a lot of these, and we've really filled out like an educational day. It's for pretty much the same cost as going to one of our evening events.
Right. And
it includes lunch. And how can people really show up at 9 a.m. and leave at 5, figuring out pretty much, this is the plan that I want to move forward. I figured out that I like this, and I'm going to make appointments with this person, and this is really something kind of I want to do.
So how do I get involved? Like, how could I attend an event like that?
Well, you'll be there, obviously.
I will.
And Phil is going to be there on the panel.
Yes.
You know, because we're having all of our experts, whatever, for one of the for the 20 minutes segments, no selling from the stage, information only.
Yes.
And they're going to be talking about, you know, areas in Ontario that are great investment. We do have our U.S. specialist coming as well. He'll be talking about how to invest in the U.S., because I know a lot of Canadians are for that. So Phil, you'll definitely be on the panel for that segment, but more importantly, they're going to have great interactive boosts, information, you know, on how people can get involved. So say if you're looking to invest in real estate, you'll have a chance to talk to Phil from Toronto, Gary from Oshawa, Danielle from Hamilton and St. Catharines, Cassidy from Windsor, you know, Gary from Oshawa, Colby from Barrie, and you're able to leave going, oh my goodness, I really figured out after spending this time and figuring out these areas and having a one-on-one with the expert themselves that this area really works for me. I can make money in Toronto.
Yeah.
I don't have to invest 2 hours away. I can invest within 20 minutes from my home, because I'm a control freak and actually want to drive past my investment 5 times a day.
Guilty.
To some people, they need that, and so it can be an option.
So where could the public find tickets?
More about the event? Or
well,
the tickets,
hopefully there's going to be an Eventbrite link here on this.
Yes, we will put one in the show notes.
Excellent. Yes, and we'd advise everyone to come out and really invest in yourself for a full, fun-filled day of education. Trust me, I have the attention span of a 4-year-old, so I know how boring these expos and conferences can be. It's not going to be a bunch of old people milling around and just picking their nose and leaving early, whatever. This is going to be coordinated as a full-day event, so be prepared to be entertained. So we do have Jean-Paul, who is going to be emceeing the event, and he's a comedian. He's actually one of Russell Peters' best friends. And he's going to be emceeing it, and he's actually going to be doing a comedic performance.
Nice.
We have DJ Romney Wildcat, who's actually one of our members, but he's an up-and-coming performer, and he's going to be DJing this whole event as well.
It's going to be a blast.
It's going to be like the investment conference, and a WWF wrestling match combined, all of it. So we are going to try to really entertain
Spiro, get
and
the tables.
get the information across to people. But if you're worried about coming out and worried about hard sells and pressures and email collections and all that sort of stuff, you know what? Most of our people really do operate in a we're not that into you approach. You know, if you're not that into us, then maybe it's for a reason, and maybe we're not that into you. So no one really needs to be doing this sort of stuff. We love you. We want to help you. We want to work with you. We also respect you. We're not going to spam your inbox, and no hard sells, no NLP, no get rich quick. This is all about, just like this conversation has been pretty real, there's just real information. If you're out there, you want to build wealth in real estate, alternative investment products, or even just create a wealth shift change, that's what we do to help people. You might say, I have no money, I have no time, I have no knowledge. Well, to invest in real estate, you might need money. We can help you with the time, the knowledge. You do need money. We don't do these get rich quick, these no money, low money down. But we have had a smaller percentage of people come to us and say, I want to learn how to make the money so I can invest. And that starts with your mind, your attitude, and there are definite habits like we discussed today that could really kind of get anyone on the right path, no matter how hopeless it seems. Because life's going to happen. And I'm sorry if you're busy now, you're going to be busy next week and next month and next year. And you'll be busy probably till you end up in that box.
There you go. Monika Jazyk, keeping it real.
I like that.
It's real. It's real.
So you spoke about some of your hobbies like tennis, all the running around with kids, all your investments, and I want you to just touch a little bit more on the book that you have.
Oh, okay.
And also any other books that you would recommend.
Oh my God, I have to write a whole bunch. So I'm gonna have to get that.
All right.
I'm gonna have to get that, but I'm gonna get that book that I talked about. I think it's like 6 Ways to Build Wealth. I'm gonna revise that financial planning book. So we definitely got to get on that. And we're always creating IP and creating courses, and they're all super duper real. Like, this is real stuff. There's only one way you can do real estate, and I'm so sick of people paying $50,000 and sitting in a 3-day course to learn. We could package it and tell you the truth, and this is what we do with our clients and or whatever. The book also is real. No, people, sorry, it's not Mensa. I think I actually say it in the forward, like, this is not a how-to, this is more a what not to do.
More
it's
a how not to.
It's just an authentic journey. I can't be someone I'm not. We're just everyday people. We built wealth through real estate. We know the ways to do it. We work with the best people in the industry. I ain't got nothing else.
And that was Real Estate Mistakes.
Real Estate Mistakes.
We'll find a link to that in there's another stream. Affiliate Amazon links.
There you
now
go.
We're talking.
Oh my God, you can affiliate it with your podcast.
We'll put another link in the
there we go. You can get an affiliate fee for every real estate mistakes. But we say, like, learn from our mistakes, will be your success. And even by reading that book, I think at least one person, our goal for that book, and we wrote that book in 3 weeks too, by the way, through a challenge basically, and write your book in 3 weeks. And we got through it, and it never would have happened if we didn't have that structure to follow and the systems to follow. And I think because we weren't like so tied up in this nitty gritty and trying to prove something to someone, like we're this or we're that, or we want to teach this point or that point, it really is a from the heart book. So a lot of people can finish it in one read, and it's an easy read because it was just written so authentically. But you could honestly pick up that book, at least one point will resonate you. It talks about all the different strategies we messed up in. It talks about the beginner mistakes that people make, and it talks about mistakes you might make in forming your team. It talks about mistakes in mindset, and also getting caught up in this 100 property hype. And at the end of the day, I think you get at least one lesson that will help you save millions of dollars in mistakes. Because that's what we made.
So where can you get that book?
Amazon.
And what's the title?
Real Estate Mistakes, Our Mistakes, Your Success.
There you go. That's how you can find it. And what's your number one advice? Like, what advice would you give someone who is just looking to make an investment, their first investment? What do you tell them?
Honestly, guys, you're not alone. You don't have to figure this out on your own. You can listen to podcasts like this. You can go from meetup group to meetup group. You could read all the books under the sun. Pick someone that you like, that you trust, and that you'd admire, and see if you could learn from them. Because I think a mentorship opportunity, it doesn't have to be a 3-day, course mentorship or a $50,000 or an expensive thing. $50 figure it out what it is you're trying to achieve, and really kind of let someone who's earned their stripes or taken these punches already and has figured it all out really do that for you, because you can make steps towards building wealth as well as living your best life at the same time. You don't have to be a hero. You don't have to figure it out all on your own. You are not alone.
Perfect.
Excellent. Yeah. I think that's probably a goodest place as any to wind her down.
Yep.
Excellent.
So want to thank you for coming on the podcast.
Well,
for
thanks
sure.
for having me. I have a
Thanks for
feeling this
coming.
is going to be the best podcast out there.
Of the 5, it'll be the largest we've had yet, guaranteed.
Yes.
And
All right.
help us compete with all the others in the space.
You know what?
I'm sure we got
There's so many people in the real estate space. 55,000 agents.
52, 53,
52,000
I don't know,
agents
something like that.
trying to learn. There's so many podcasts. There's so many meetup groups. There's so many whatever. You just got to do you.
Yep.
And I think authenticity is what it is all about.
It is. I couldn't agree more. So where could everybody find you?
We're online, rpinvestments.ca, or Google Monika Jazyk, or Real Property Investments, Monika Jazyk, Von Jazyk, and hopefully we pop up.
You'll pop up.
Let's hope so.
I think you're there.
Let's hope so.
I think so. Or continue to stay tuned to Phil and the Kid, and then you can. Hopefully, you'll have me.
Maybe
back
you get
someday.
lucky to pop up again.
That's probably the best advice we've given in this podcast.
Best advice yet. Stay tuned.
All right. Thank you, Monika. And
right.
again, we'll probably do this again one day.
Absolutely.
You can find us on YouTube, iTunes Podcasts, Google Play, Podbean, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.